All right. So, like I said, today we are going to be discussing creating your best study space. And you're more than welcome to have your camera on during this time, but this meeting is being recorded, so it's completely up to you. We do love to see your smiling faces, though. And my name is Mrs. Wilson. If you were a middle school or elementary school student last year, you might recognize me. I definitely recognize some of your faces, and I'm so glad that you all are here. I am the counseling assistant for elementary and middle school students, and I live in Spokane, Washington. I live here with my husband and our cat, Fisher. And I love working at Enlighten and getting to work with all of you. You are what make my job really special. So, to start off our time together, I want to ask you a question, and you can feel free to type your answer in the chat. The question is, if you had to describe your study space, the space that you currently do your schoolwork, in one word, which word would you choose? And my word is going to be simple. I know I don't have a study space, but I have a workspace and I try and keep my desk nice and clean with not a lot going on around me so that I can focus. So I love seeing all of your answers. Someone said messy, someone said chill, cozy, scary. Oh no, too small. Oh, interesting. And someone else said simple, warm and cozy, chaotic, big. Wow, there's a lot of variety in your answers and in the places that you are all doing school and you're all studying. And that's wonderful. I know we are all coming from different homes and different backgrounds, and that's completely okay. There's not going to be a one size fits all space for us. Someone said cottage core. Love that. That definitely gives me some insight into your personality and how you're choosing to personalize your space. So thank you all so much for those answers. And there will be more opportunities throughout this webinar for you to share in the chat. So just keep an eye out for that. But I want to give an overview of what we're discussing today. What makes a good study space? Now, there's definitely more than five, but we're just going to touch on five things that make a great study space. So the first is a space that is specific, one that is distraction free, one that is personalized, one that has good lighting, and one that is clean and organized. So I already saw some of these themes coming up in your answers, but we're going to explore what each of these means a little bit deeper. So I would love to hear from you. When you first look at these pictures, what do you notice about them? Do they have things that are in common? Do they have things that are different from each other? Someone said clean, neat. I agree. They are all definitely clean. Is there one that stands out to you as different from the rest? Someone said they look tidy. I agree. Here's another question. Out of these four pictures, what do you think would make the best study space? Someone said, I'm seeing lots of wands, lots of bedrooms, and that could absolutely be a good study space. I'm seeing a little desk here and one on the bed too. I didn't even notice that when I chose the picture. Someone said three or bottom left. I actually agree with you on that one. So when we're thinking about a study space that is specific, I mean that we want the place that we're doing our schoolwork to be a designated space. And that means we're not using that space for anything else. We're using it just for your studies. And ideally, we want to avoid studying in a place that we might associate with other activities like watching TV. So that would probably mean avoiding the couch in your living room. And when you think about your study space, we want you to think about a place that helps you to feel focused and productive. Now, I also want to acknowledge not everybody has a small designated office in their house. I know I've definitely lived places where there's not an office, and that's okay. What makes your study space specific could just be a corner of your room that you don't use for anything else. Maybe it's a desk that's set aside in your living room, or even a quiet spot in the backyard if you live somewhere with pleasant weather. I know here in Spokane, I definitely can't be studying in my backyard in December, but for some of you, that could be a possibility. So this is really an opportunity for you all to be creative when you think about a specific study space. So talk with your parents or your loved ones about potential study spaces that can be specific to you if you haven't found one already. And this can make a big difference in helping you to stay focused. So next, we are going to talk about study spaces that are distraction free. What do you notice about these pictures? Or I should say, three of these pictures. What do you notice about them? Three of them have something in common. Someone said desk. Oh, I see the answer. That's right. Emmanuel said three of them have distractions. And that's right. I see a dog. I know our pets can definitely be distractions when we're working. I see a TV on in the background. And then I see a younger sibling who doesn't look like they're working on school. It looks like they might be playing with blocks. So, as online learners, which all of you are, distractions are bound to come up and we just can't avoid it. However, we can give ourselves the best opportunity to avoid these sorts of distractions. So, how can we do this? How can we create a study space that is as distraction free as possible? First of all, we want to minimize these distractions as much as possible. So, in your home, distractions could be other family members, pets, or even household chores going on in the background. Maybe someone in your house is vacuuming or making lunch. Those sorts of things can be distracting to us. So, to eliminate those sorts of distractions, let's make sure that our study spaces are ones that are quiet. They don't get a lot of traffic, which means either cars on the street or just people walking behind us. If possible, let's avoid places like the kitchen or the family room where there might be other people cooking or cleaning or playing. A lot of us also have distractions in the palm of our hands. I know, oh, you can't see my phone, but I know that I do. So distractions could also be cell phones or tablets or laptops that you're not using for schoolwork. So I would encourage you to turn off any devices and put them in another room if possible so that you can focus on your coursework. Of course, that's besides the device that you're doing your schoolwork on. And on the computer or tablet where you are working on your school, you might have several tabs open. So even something as simple as clearing out these tabs and only keeping the ones that we need for projects could be a really great way to clear our minds and increase our sense of focus. So be sure to communicate with your family members when you're planning to study. I'm sure a lot of your parents have a really good grasp on what hours you're completing your studies, but make sure you guys are all on the same page so that they can help you by being quiet and keeping out of your study space as much as possible. Of course, it's really important to be patient if our family members are causing us to be distracted. God has given those people to us as gifts and maybe those pets too. So try your best to be patient, but also try and put yourself in a space that's not going to be a distraction. All right, next we're going to look at another three pictures. So you will notice I'm keeping the same office picture, but the other three have something in common. So what do you notice about these ones? These three pictures. Yes, they're empty. Nothing is exactly what I'm getting at. These are all really plain and simple spaces. Now, there's nothing wrong with being plain and simple when you're decorating your study space, but one way to help you increase your performance and stay focused in school is to have a study space that's personal to you. Because when we personalize our space, it makes it somewhere that we actually want to be. So when you're thinking about personalizing your space, focus on what makes it feel comfortable to you and inviting. Maybe you want to display a family photo or a Bible verse or even your plant collection. I know everybody's different. Some students might even find it helpful to play music quietly in the background or turn on a sound machine when they work. I would love to hear from you guys. What ways have you already made your spaces personalized to you? Have you displayed artwork? Oh, someone said that my space is great because I have a Bible on my desk. I love that. That shows what's important to you. Someone said LED lights. That's fun. I wonder if they change colors. I know some spaces have lights that change colors, and we're actually going to talk about that. my space is bad because it's messy. We are all starting somewhere. So that just gives you one area that you can focus on in terms of improving. Someone said, I listen to my personalized Spotify day list in the background. It helps me. I love that. I love that we get to be personalized in the music that we listen to. That always helps me focus if I can listen to some light background music. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for sharing. It makes me feel happy to know that we all have unique personalities and God has made us all so differently. And we can reflect those differences in our spaces by personalizing them. All right. Next space. What do you notice about the three pictures besides the office? Mm, yes, they're dark. Maybe this is what was making someone's space scary earlier. I know they mentioned. But yeah, three of these spaces are really dark. And lighting can actually make a huge difference in our study spaces. So when we're thinking about how we can make our spaces well lit, focus on finding the balance between natural and artificial lighting. Maybe some of you have rooms that have lots of windows. That can actually help you to stay calm and relaxed if you have some natural lighting coming in. And if you don't have natural forms of lighting, maybe you have LED lights, like I saw someone mention before, or a nice lamp. So when you're finding your study space, try and find one that has a good balance of both natural light and artificial light. And if you can't turn on light at your space, I would encourage you to talk with a loved one about that and try and find a space that works for you that has good lighting. Because when we're sitting in the dark, that can make us feel really tired and it can be hard to focus on our work. You can play around with different types of lighting. Maybe you're going to find a lamp that has different levels of brightness or even different shades. And also be sure to avoid straining your eyes. I know looking at a computer all day can be draining on your eyes and it can even make them start to hurt after a while. So make sure you're taking good breaks and don't place any artificial lights like lamps really close to your computer because that can create a glare that might hurt your eyes. Someone said they use sunlight. That's great. All right. Now, I know this has already come up in our chats. What do you notice about these three spaces? Messy. Yes, very messy. Someone said chaos. I like that word. I think that's a good description of what we're seeing in these spaces. So only one of these photos, the example photo I've been using, shows us a space that is clean and organized. The others create a sense of chaos that we want to do our best to avoid. So how can we make our spaces clean and organized? So to create a study space that is as clean and organized as possible, look around and see what you might be able to use as storage. Make sure that everything in your space has a specific place. And if you need more storage space, places like the dollar store have really great selections of bins and storage cubes. So maybe you can ask your parents this weekend if you can go and look at what storage options are available to you, or even what you have already laying around your house. You also might find it helpful to tidy your space before you're studying or even after. You might consider choosing a specific day to clean your space. Some students like to, at the end of the week, make sure that everything is in its place. They close their laptops, they organize their pens and papers so that when they come back on Monday, everything is ready and waiting for them. Finally, let's talk about placing the items that are important to you close by. You don't want to have to walk across your house or shuffle through your belongings to find a pen or a notebook. You want to have them right in front of you. That way, you're not wasting time that you could be focusing on finishing your assignments, but you have everything that you need. So I am really thankful to hear all of your input, and I know that this is a lot. So thank you for sticking with me. And even if you take one thing away from this webinar on how you can create a better study space for yourself, that's wonderful to hear. And being clean and organized, it doesn't just have to do with our desk or our computer or our pens and our notebooks. It actually has to do with the things that we are incorporating into our lives as habits. So let's talk about staying clean and organized beyond our study space. When we build good habits like prioritizing tasks, planning ahead, and managing our time, we are giving ourselves the best possible chance at being successful students. And I know this takes time, but let's focus on a couple of these things real quick. The first is prioritizing tasks. When you start your day, one thing that you can do to help yourself is to make a list of all of the goals that you have for the day, as well as all of the tasks that you need to complete. That way, when you're doing your coursework, you can look at your list and make sure you're staying on track and you're not feeling lost when you start your day. You know exactly what needs to be done. And then you can start thinking about how you're actually going to complete it. Some of you might have really big assignments that take a lot of time. Maybe it's an essay or a project. And one really helpful tip is to break those large assignments or essays or projects into smaller, more manageable tasks. So maybe that looks like looking at your project and you know you need to write a topic sentence. So you can start really small, write the topic sentence, and then you write the next paragraph. And if you take it one step at a time and take breaks in between, you will be done before you know it. Someone shared that when they start their day, they like to read their Bible. I love that. I think reading the Bible can give us a great focus on God's word and give us power throughout the day when we're focusing on things that are good and right and true. Other folks might find it helpful to start with their smaller tasks. So, say you have a really quick assignment, you know it's going to take you like 20 minutes to get done. Maybe you do that first before you go and tackle the bigger projects. Other people really enjoy starting with the bigger tasks. I'm one of those people. If there's something weighing on me in the morning that I know I need to get done, I prefer to get that out of the way, and then the rest of the day is smooth sailing. So I would say play around with those different methods and see which works for you. If you don't know how you operate yet, that's okay. We are all still learning and growing as students. And remember to follow your due dates as much as you can. At Enlightium, you know, you're not going to be penalized if you have a couple overdue assignments here and there, but it's going to be the very best for you if you do follow your due dates and turn in assignments on time. This way, you will avoid having a bunch of work to complete at the end of the year. Following due dates and turning in assignments on time is doing your future self a favor. Alrighty, let's move on and talk about planning ahead. There's lots of ways that you can plan ahead. Like we talked about on the last slide, we can even make a list of goals and tasks at the beginning of the day. But we're going to focus on two ways that you can plan ahead, specifically as a student here at Enlightium. So one is to use your project forecasts. And if you don't know what these are, you can actually find them on our website. Project forecasts include the course and the unit that the project is in, the name of the project, the difficulty, as well as the time commitment, so that when you open up the project forecast, you can look at it and say, okay, this might take me a little bit more time. I need to plan ahead this week to give more time to this project and maybe less time to my other assignments or classes. So to find the project forecasts, find the course that you're taking on our website, and your parents can help you with this. Then look for the View Project Forecast button. And maybe you notice that a course or a unit has no projects. That's great too. Some of our courses or units don't have projects at all. But it's really helpful for you to be aware of what's required of you in a unit so that you can manage your time well. Next part of planning ahead that we're going to discuss is using a calendar. Does anybody have a calendar on their desk or one that they use on their computer? Alice said yes. Haley said yes. I do not know what I would do without a calendar, y'all. It's really helpful. They help us to see when a project or assignment is due. So you can take some time at the beginning of the week to see which assignments need to be added to your calendar. This is a really great time to sit down with a parent or loved one and both look at all of your assignments for the week together and then plan it out using your calendar. And that way they can also take a peek at your calendar and say, okay, what's coming up? And make sure that they are holding you accountable. I know you all have really busy schedules and sometimes things get missed, so calendars are a really great way to know exactly what's going on. Someone said they use a planner. That's great. Planners are similar to calendars, but sometimes they have more space to write out tasks and due dates. So find one that works for you. You can find planners or calendars really at most any store you go to, and there's also great virtual options. I personally enjoy Google Calendar, which is free with a Google account. Alrighty. Next, we are going to talk about managing our time. So managing our time is really essential because you all have a lot of freedom as online students. You're not going from class to class, and it's really up to you and your family to get your coursework done. So managing your time is going to be really important throughout your time here at Enlightium. So we can do this in a number of different ways, including following a schedule. So following a schedule helps us to choose a start and end time to our day. It can also help us know when we need to move from one subject to the other by designating specific times for each class. And we actually have an example of a potential planner or calendar that you can find on our knowledge base, and you should be able to see it on my screen here. This is just a sample. And as you can see, students wake up and then they pray and read their Bibles. So, like someone mentioned earlier, it can be really great to just carve out time where you're spending time in prayer and in God's Word so that you are empowered to start your day well and start off on a good foot. And someone said, you got to know them free days. I completely agree. An awesome thing about Enlightium is that our Fridays are more flexible so that you can catch up on schoolwork or do your extracurriculars. So definitely be aware of when you don't have coursework too, so you can take some time to relax and enjoy your families and your extracurricular activities. Finally, taking breaks is also really important. I don't think I know anybody who can just sit at a desk for 8 hours straight and do all of their homework. They need breaks. So definitely make sure you're incorporating maybe a 10 or 15-minute break every few hours or more, depending on what you and your parents decide is best for you. And during your breaks, you can incorporate physical movement like stretching or walking. And also be sure to stay hydrated and eat healthy. Taking a break is a really good time to grab a healthy snack. I know that I cannot focus if I am not well fed. So maybe some of you all can relate to that. But definitely use these times to fuel your body, stay hydrated, eat healthy, and get some movement in, even if it's walking around your house during a day that's on the colder side. It doesn't have to be super complicated. So today we have talked about a lot and we've learned a lot. Let's do a quick review. We learned about the importance of study spaces that are specific, distraction free, personalized, well lit, clean and organized. And we also talked about prioritizing tasks, planning ahead, and managing our time. Is there a specific area that stands out to you that maybe it's one that you already do really well in, or maybe it's one that you need some work in? Which area stands out to you as one that you could use help or in one that you already do really well in? For me, I think I do a pretty good job at managing my time. I think that's one that I've got down. But maybe one that I could grow in is making my space more personalized. Here's a question for you all. What is one positive change you can make in your study space or your habits? It doesn't have to be big, just one small change that you can make. Someone said less messy. That's great. And that one's really simple. You can start just by tidying up your space and you don't have to wait. You can even do it today. Someone said finding a desk. Yes, a desk is really helpful, but if you need to improvise, don't have a desk, you can also use a table or a flat surface. Someone said they could listen to more music. That's true. We don't want music to distract us, but if music helps you focus, then that's a great option. Ooh, I like that idea of buying posters. You can buy posters of things that you like or that are focused on your interests. Someone said, I'm going to IKEA soon, so hopefully I'll find a desk. That would be great. IKEA is fun. Well, thank you all so much for sharing. Ivana, I see that you're raising your hand. Did you have something to share? No? Okay. No worries. Does anybody have any closing thoughts that they would like to share before we end our time together today? Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much. You are free to go. I hope you have a great weekend, And if you ever need anything, feel free to reach out to your counselor, and your teachers are also a great resource for you. We are here to support you.